Hello, I am Kate Nowlan, joined by my business partner, Kimberly Caccavo, and we are so excited for you to join us for our inaugural Face Your Grace podcast, where we're going to discuss how we started our business, Graced by Grit, and how we turned that idea into a business and built a successful company. So Let's talk about that, Kimberly. Let's talk about the first day we met. Do you remember that?
Oh my gosh, I do. I have a few memories of you early on. Kate was my son's swim coach, and I remember you on the pool deck. I remember people bringing you coffees all the time. Yes. You were a single mom of young kids.
Yeah, I had a few suitors.
Yeah, and I thought, wow, she's so nice. And Chris said, Mom, she's a tough coach, but she's good and she's fair. And then I remember once we had just come back from Russia, and the next day was a swim meet, and there was a message on my recorder saying, I know you just came back, I expect you to be there, and I had to get Chris over there.
Yep. Yeah, I was a little bit of a hard ass when it came to coaching.
He won.
He did, and he did fantastic. Yeah. And then from there, we really just, I think, would see each other wave high, but then a few years later, you were looking to hire a trainer to help you train for a triathlon in honor of a young woman here in San Diego. Unfortunately,
and I knew you were a swim coach. All I remember is one day my husband coming home in the rain, and he said, you know that crazy friend of yours, Kate? I saw her running in the rain, and I offered her a ride, and she looked at me somewhat. She was exasperated, and she said, no, I'm out for a run. Yeah, that was like definitely one of those gritty moments where I thought, no, I'm from the East Coast. I don't accept rides just because it's raining. Like, I'll be fine. But I would have been in the car. I don't know. You're pretty gritty too. But from there, I think, you hired me, and in that time period where we were training for that triathlon, what I thought was a distraction tactic ended up being actually really valuable conversations of... It was a distraction tactic. Well, right. It was twofold. How could I look great, not only while I was standing still, but when I was running? Like, what kind, I'm an engineer, what kind of fabrics would keep my butt looking good and not looking wiggly? Yes, well, and I also thought it was really interesting when the very first day we trained, you went out and you bought an entirely new outfit to train in, of course, because you knew it would make you feel better about training and getting in shape. But then beyond that, you did not buy a new pair of shoes. And I thought, gosh, how interesting that the priority was more on the aesthetic of the outfit versus the functionality of what we were doing, which was running. Right. And my shoes already went with the outfit. Yeah, they did. That's right. They coordinated. So you figured, well, I replaced, 3 or 4-year-old shoes. Maybe the average triathlete would have replaced those. Because the average triathlete would have put miles on them. That's very true. Very true. Well, and from there, that's where we really started talking about all sorts of things, our life experience, our history, but also what was missing in the market, and that no athletic apparel company was doing what we felt was functional, the aesthetic that we wanted, the elegance, and as well the safety features that were built into the apparel. And so I know it was just an idea then. You fast forward 2 years from there, or 3 years from there actually, and you were in Paris, right? And I had just left a job, and I was thinking, what the heck am I doing with the rest of my life? I contacted my clients, you being one of them, but beyond that idea of, gosh, we could start an athletic apparel company was still there. And you said, yeah, let's talk about it when I get back. A few weeks later, I think we met. We talked about it and decided, let's spend the summer really looking at the market and figuring out, is there an opportunity to start that business, and do we work well together? Right. Because that was such an important part. Yeah. And that's one of the things that we talk a lot in the Face Your Grace videos is, if you're selecting a partner, what do you do to make that partnership work? Yeah. And I think I loved having our partnership. It was fun. We laughed so much. Yeah, well, and clearly it worked, because now we're starting another business together and running that business. And yeah, I mean, we had some great memories. We got to travel together and see what it was like to travel. You invited me to your home in Montana. We got to work there. Yeah, I taught you how to mountain bike. You loved that experience. Loved it. But no, you taught me how to sew. I'd never even picked up a single needle and thread to sew anything, let alone used a sewing machine. And then from there, we decided we did work well together. We did feel like we had a great idea. It was different than what we saw out there. Yeah, which were huge. Exactly. And then we launched Graced by Grit in January of 2013. And that process from January to... I was so young then. You were, so was I. Yeah.
So was
now
I.
You're
Yeah.
an adult.
I'm a big girl now.
Thinking
Yeah.
you were a kid.
Yeah. No.
Kid with a child as old as mine.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. Well, and I think that was another big part of figuring out that we could work well together, was that despite our vast and different experiences in life, we were at the same stage with raising our families.
Yes, we were.
And knowing that we had to figure out how to work well together. And so we launched Grace by Grit in January of that year. We really actually did our soft launch in September of that year with about 4 or 5 products, and then a very hard launch in January of 2014. And from there, we grew that business. We acquired so many wonderful employees and customers. I mean, that really shared in our journey,
that
our
still
story.
Passionate about it.
Oh my gosh, I still get emails every single week about
it.
it.
The Grace by Grit Foundation board. That's
Well, and so
great.
share really quickly. So we launched the business in January 2013. We sold the business to another company in 2018, and tell a little bit more about that, Kimberly.
And then in 2019, we started the Grace by Grit Foundation, which I think for each of us is just such a warm, great part of our lives, where we are working with these kids that are athletes and encouraging them to continue being an athlete so that when they go to college, they develop those skills, they stay in college, and they can become the next female leaders.
Well, and that's something that obviously we're incredibly passionate about. Certainly running a business that was focused on women allowed us to hear so many stories about women's lives. That lent to really what it meant to be a woman, that being a woman was about being graced by grit, and then continuing that legacy with the foundation has been so meaningful for both of us. And has led us to now Face Your Grace, because we realized that in selling the company, we had so many people reaching out, asking.
Well, we wrote a book where we took a lot of our customers' experiences. Our customers have been so great sharing with us the ups, the downs, the gritty moments, the graces that they gave. And we created that book for women to start business. That did really well. But we had women coming to us saying, okay, I need the nuts and bolts. I feel like I need a roadmap. I need a plan, and I need
step-by-step guide.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's what's been fun about creating Face Your Grace, is we have that great third partner who does videos and provides us with a lot of
producing
humor.
all this content.
Right.
Exactly.
But it's been so much fun putting this together and creating a product that our customers have wanted.
Absolutely.
It's great. I'm excited.
I'm excited too, and excited to launch this and to see where it goes, but most importantly to be continuing to support women in the ways that they want to be supported, and providing for them that toolkit so that they can be successful with whatever venture that they decide to pursue. So,
which is great.
Yeah.
And I get to see you more.
I know, which I love.
Great.
And we get to enjoy this beautiful ocean view.
Unbelievable, right? What a gorgeous day.
I know. So there we go. That's our quick and dirty summary of how we got to know each other, how we started Grace by Grit, sold it, and now on to our next venture of Face Your Grace. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks.
And we can't wait for you to participate in our tracks, which are for the side hustle, the small business, and that big business. So please join us on our journey so we can help support yours.